Welcome back to Method Cooking. Today we're seasoning and roasting a whole turkey. Seasonally, this is perfect because Thanksgiving is coming up, but if you think about it, turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, yams, gravy, everything is not tied to a specific season. This could be a delicious February or middle of June meal. Regardless, I've got the turkey here. I brined it for about 24 hours. We're going to get to the seasoning here in a second. A lot of times with birds or raw meat, I talk about having a raw hand and a clean hand. With a bird this size, that's not really an option. So what I'm going to do is flip it over, wash my hands, make the seasoning, get it seasoned, flip it over, wash, season the other side, let everything soak in before we go into the oven. On to the seasoning. Again, everything is kind of based on your taste and what you want. So I'm going to do a heavy amount of salt. And since this isn't on the bird yet, you can kind of put it all together, look at it, get an eyeball, or even taste it, or cook off a small piece to get an idea of what the end result is going to be. So we're going to add some salt, some fresh black pepper, come in with some granulated onion, some dried thyme. Oh, come on, there we go. Come with some granulated garlic. I'm a big fan of mustard, dried mustard, and then if you've watched in my other videos, some chili flakes. Again, not to make it spicy, but it's just kind of like a flavor thing. So we'll get those in there, mix everything up by hand, taste it, look at it, if you've got a good eyeball or not. Just kind of see where you're at, and then we're going to get that on the bird. With the seasoning done, I've got the brined turkey and the turkey neck in the pan. I put a little bit less salt than I normally would into the dry rub because I know I brine this for about 24 hours, so I don't want it to get too salty at the end result. Before I season the back, I'm going to twist the wing tips backwards. There's not much meat up in these, and by bending them backwards, the turkey is going to cook a little bit more evenly, and it's also going to have that stabilization as it sits on its back. So I'm going to use the seasoning, cover the back, cover the neck, flip it over, season the top, let it sit for about 15-20 minutes, and then we're into the oven. Now we come in with the seasoning. I'm going to use one hand to sprinkle and one hand to kind of rub it into the skin. Get up into the wings, every kind of space or gap we can see because we're going to end up eating all of it. Once we get the back seasoned, we're going to flip it over to the front. Just like that. You can see those wings as they set down. Hold that turkey up and hold it in place. Back into the seasoning. Yes, I grabbed it with my turkey hand, but I'm not using that seasoning for anything else, so I'm not worried about cross-contamination. Like I said, we're going to let that seasoning sit in for 15-20 minutes, and then we're into the oven. I let all the seasoning sit on the turkey for about 15, almost 20 minutes. To the pan, I also added the turkey neck that came included. I seasoned that. The nice thing about putting it in a pan is as everything kind of drips off, including the turkey neck, that juice that it provides is already seasoned. It's going to become like an already seasoned gravy once the bird is done and you're to that point. And with the oven at 355, we're going to put in the turkey. Again, this is like a 17-pound turkey, so I'm going to cook it for about 4 hours. It's got the little red popper, which is normally a good indicator. But you'll also want to tempt the bird, so if you've got like a digital thermometer, stick it into like a heavy part of the breast or down into kind of the leg thigh area to double check that you're at least like 165, 170 before you pull it out. Carry over cooking, it'll take it to like 180, 185, and you will have a delicious moist bird. Before I put the bird in the oven with the kind of extra seasoning that's fallen off of it, I add a little bit of chicken broth, turkey broth, some sort of liquid to the outside. Otherwise, while it starts to roast, all the seasoning that's sitting on the bottom of that pan is just going to kind of char and give you like a bitter taste. So, seasoning on, bird in, a little bit of broth around the outside. I'm going to put it in uncovered 350 for about 3.5-4 hours. Going to temp it and pull it when it's ready. Quick note, with chickens and turkeys and a lot of other birds, you want to cook it to 165 degrees. The best way to do that, with turkeys, they've got this little red popper. Otherwise, use a digital thermometer and stick it into either a really thick part of the breast or down into the leg and thigh area. And again, you're looking for 165 served. So if it pulls out of the oven at like 162, 163, that carryover cooking will take it to 165 and you'll have a delicious moist bird. So, roasted turkey is done. We did 350 for about 3.5, maybe 4 hours. You're going to want to let that rest for probably 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, just so all the juices within the meat kind of relax and stay within the meat before you start cutting it. And this you can serve it whole, or you can carve it up, and the carving turkey video is also available on the website. So, method cooking, that was how to roast a turkey using the seasonings and ingredients that we had. Everything's pulled out. If you want to check out how to carve a turkey, check out my next video. Thanksgiving is coming up, and it's better to be prepared now than trying to figure it out the day of. Love it, like it, share it. I'll see you next week. So, I always start with so. Oh, so! That was method cooking, how to roast a turkey, from seasoning to roasting, checking the time, roasting!